is Chris. Welcome back to the channel. Today, another fun ball fitting video. This one is my ball fitting. It's using my um, simulator statistics, ball speed, and launch angle and stuff for driver and 7-iron using the ball that I typically use. Um, a few weeks back on the channel, I did a what's in the bag kind of video looking at the clubs and stuff that are going to be in my bag for the 23 season. But I didn't touch on the golf ball. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to do so um, using this Ping Ballnamic ball fitting engine. It's at ballfitting.com. It's like $40 or $42 or something for 5 or 6 different fittings. So you can get together with your buddies and do the fittings. So first input here is your handicap. I am I'm like a 0.5 or something, so I clicked scratch or better here. I currently play a Pro V, a regular Pro V. We'll see what this thing says. Uh, I tend to be a low spin player. Pro V is not their highest spin ball, Pro V X is. So I'm curious to see what they say here. You can put in your zip code and it'll tell you, your average playing temperature and your altitude and so on, which are uh, portions of the calculation. I'm going to move it up to 75 because it may think that our average playing temperature is 60, but I'm certainly not playing. I'm probably playing in the summer when it's 70, 75. Okay, so here's where we get to launch conditions for driver. I went back and looked at some of my fitting videos that I've put out here to try and get some of these numbers. I'm between 150 and 155 ball speed on driver. Maybe in the middle of summer I can get it a little higher, 56, 57 perhaps. But I went with 154 in terms of ball speed. Launch angle looked to me like it was, 13, 14, somewhere in there, so I went with 13.5. Um, this is a big change from what it used to be for me. I used to be a much lower ball flight player, but I got fitted into a high lofted head on my driver. And then spin rate, I've got it at 2300, which is about right, somewhere between 2000 and 2500. So here, this thing calculates for us, and it actually says that our current driver height is 92.4, and it recommends us a height of 92.4. So it's saying mid trajectory. That surprises me. But like I said, I did get fitted into a higher loft driver head. I'm in a Ping G425 Max that's a 12-degree head, and it's actually bumped up to 13 and a half. So that's the launch angle that I'm putting it at is 13 and a half. So it thinks mid trajectory on the driver, and I'm gonna go with it. Here you tell it what your stats are, and it calculates the trajectory for you. You can adjust that as needed, but given my new driver, I'm just going with what they say here, which is mid trajectory. And then wind performance, there's three options here, not important, moderate, or high. I went with moderate. We do have some wind here in Minnesota. It's not quite like Texas or something like that. All right, now we're on 7-iron launch conditions. Ball speed, I put at 120 here. A few of my winter fittings this winter were like 115, 116. I went back to my second swing fittings last summer, and I was up like 125. So part of that might be in the middle of summer, 125, but partially I think too, since those second swing fittings, we have weakened the lofts on my irons a little bit. So 120 seems like an appropriate estimate to me. Launch angle at 16 degrees, spin 5,300. Yeah, so you can see here I'm sort of a flat iron player. Not a lot of spin, not a lot of loft, and it suggests moderately steep landing angle. You can see here it's calculated us at 42.7 degree landing angle. Everything that I understand from about club fitting says that you want your land angle with your irons to be a 45 or more. So it says 46.1 would result from a moderately steep landing angle. I am considering here whether or not to manually adjust this to say steep rather than moderately steep. But I think if moderately steep gives us 46.1 degrees, that's probably fine. That's fine for us to go with that. So we'll stick with moderately steep. Yeah, I switched it here. I'm going to switch it back to moderately steep. All right, workability. This is how much you want the ball to curve when you hit it. I don't, it seems like least curve would be the option that most people should take. I like hitting the ball straight. You know, there are times when I need to hit a cut around a tree or a hook around a tree or something, but the vast majority of the time I just want to hit it where I'm aiming. So I'm going with least curve. And then flyer prevention, just moderate is fine. All right, full wedge spin. How much do you want a full wedge to spin? Um, for me, one of the reasons I went to the Pro V rather than the Pro VX was that I was experiencing a pretty high spin coming into greens with full wedges like 9 irons and wedges and gap wedges. It might have just been the greens that I was playing were soft, but I would hit like a full wedge into a par three and it would hit and it would suck back, 10 feet, 15 feet. And that's not what I want. I want it to do, like one hop and stop maybe, or maybe even release, a yard or two. I don't want it to suck back 15 feet. So I'm going to bump it down here to moderate full wedge spin. I don't really want anything that is going to be super spinny. Same for greenside spin. I'm not using, a big lofted wedge to hit it and check it up. And then on feel off the putter, I like a medium feel. I've really enjoyed the Pro V1 feel um, that I've had here the last year or two since I switched over to the regular Pro V1 from the Pro VX. So I like a less firm feel. I don't like super soft, like a Wilson Duo Soft or any Callaway Super Soft. That's too soft for me, but medium is about right for what I like. All right, here's a bunch of math stuff. We're looking at the standard deviations of the data here in the first place. Which balls are in the database? Sounds good. All right, here's our results. We've almost used all the ball fittings that we have. We have one result remaining. All right, let's see what we get here out of my numbers that I put in. Okay. All right, interesting. So it says the Pro VX is the best for my game, 95.4% match. Number two is Chrome Soft X at 92.9, and then a Volvic S4 at 92.6. I don't think I've ever seen one of those balls, let alone played one. That's really interesting. And then ball number four, Srixon Z Star Diamond. Again, I've seen some Z Stars, but I don't know what the Z Star Diamond is. And there's my current Pro V1 at 87.4% match. So it thinks that all these other balls are better than the current Pro V1 based on what I told it. For the Pro VX, it says ideal driver height. It's the one of the highest driver heights. The Chrome Soft X has a little bit more distance apparently out of the driver, and it's better in the wind apparently a little bit. But the 7-iron also goes a bit farther and rolls out a bit longer. You can see the 7-iron for the Chrome Soft X is going 178, rolling out 9 yards to 187. For the Pro VX, it's going 176, rolling out 7.5 yards. So that's 183.5 versus 187. I mean, that's 3.5, 4 yards. That might not sound like much. That's a big difference. And for me, one of my big things is I want the irons to stop faster. I don't necessarily need to hit them farther. I hit my irons far enough. It's about control. And so that's pretty intriguing to me, that being able to hit it and stop it a little shorter. That Pro VX also is a middling full wedge spin, which is what I like. That Chrome Soft X looks like it's a very high full wedge spin, which I maybe don't need. But it is a firm feel, and I'm not big on the firm feel. Okay, so it looks like my current ball is going 286 in the air. So I'm missing out on 3-4 yards off the tee. But it's 4 feet uh, lower apex than I like. Not quite as good in the wind. 7-iron carry, yeah. So here's another one that it's rolling out pretty substantially on the 7-iron. Good workability though. It's less workable, which in my mind is a plus. Yeah, and look at that. So that's that left hand column now is the Volvic, I believe. The right hand column is the regular Pro V. The Volvic is stopping 5 feet shorter, almost 2 yards shorter than the regular Pro V1. And again, that Pro V1 is the medium feel that I like. The Pro VX is a little firmer off the putter face, which, you know, it is what it is, I guess. That Chrome Soft is pretty interesting, but I think I think it doesn't stop soon enough on the 7-iron. I think that's a pretty important feature when I'm looking at balls, especially as compared to the regular Pro V, which I like quite a bit. Um, so if it's going to be better for me, it needs to go a little farther off the tee and or spin a little more and or stop sooner on an iron shot into the green, because I like the regular Pro V for everything else. So if it's going to be better, it needs to be kind of better in those couple of categories. And it looks like some of these balls are better in those categories. It seems like most of them, except for the Chrome Soft X, are better at stopping power into the green. Um, the Pro VX, this database likes its calculated driver height best. It was closest to that ideal number. Um, I think it was like 92.4 or something like that. It's interesting to me that the Chrome Soft is so good in the wind. This is out of 100, and it's a 98 out of 100, which is pretty strong. All right, just looking through the rest of the categories here. Yeah, that workability, 7-iron carry, 7-iron roll. Those are important categories for me. Yeah, so the Pro V rolls out 23.4 feet, which is almost 8 yards. And I think the the Pro V X rolls out almost 8 yards. I think the regular Pro V rolls out 9 yards or so. So that's worth considering, as I consider what ball I'm going to play this year. All this stuff is useful and relevant. For me, I think the biggest thing, like I said, am I going to get some more yards off the tee? The answer is like not really. I already hit it within 3 yards of the optimal, so it's not, that's not going to break the bank, I guess. So then thing number two is spin and stopping power on irons. And so I think in those categories, I'm willing to go back to a Pro VX and test it out and see if I like it. Um, I've had a couple of fittings at second swing, and that has been one of the topics is, what ball do you play? What are the issues that you face? Um, you might want to consider playing a different ball. I'm sort of surprised that a Bridgestone wasn't in here. What I've heard of the Bridgestone Tour BX is that it's about as spinny as it gets, um, which I was expecting would be um, something that would get recommended to me in here, but it doesn't look like it. So again, it was the Pro VX, Callaway Chrome Soft X, Volvic S4, and the Z Star Diamond were the four kind of best balls recommended to me. And then there's my current Pro V, which is in the 87% range. So I think that my next steps here are probably testing out a Pro V1 X compared with my Pro V. I'm I've always been a Titleist guy. Well, I should caveat that I mostly play whatever um, tour ball that I can find. I don't really buy golf balls all that often. I'm lucky enough to find more than I lose most of the time. Um, but in a tournament, I've always played a Titleist ball. I trust Titleist. I like the way they feel. They're just solid and consistent. You know what you're getting out of a Titleist golf ball. So I think for me, I'll certainly test out the Pro VX here this spring compared to my Pro V. I'll be looking at kind of height, what sort of trajectory windows iron shots are hitting with the Pro VX versus the Pro V1. I'll be looking at stopping power, not necessarily backspin, but just angle of descent and what kind of um, what kind of stopping power I get through angle of descent. Here's some neat stuff on this website. They show you kind of the parabolic flight of whatever balls you want to compare. So this is the Pro V1, which is in the dark blue, versus the Pro V1X, which is in the light blue. Oh, now they switched it back. I guess it switches between the driver and the 7-iron, which is confusing. But we've got Pro V1 and Pro V1X, comparing them on driver and 7-iron, both normal shots and into a pretty stiff wind. So interesting stuff. I really find this ball fitting website really, really interesting and gives you good information. I'd recommend getting a group of buddies together and maybe splitting it, $10 a piece or whatever, and you can each get your ball fitting, which I think is worth doing. If you got to spend $40, that's a dozen balls, or 2 dozen if you're buying them used. But for $10, if you get together with some buddies, I think that's well worth doing. So I think that's about it. Like I said, I'll be testing out Pro VXs compared to Pro Vs. I might do that in the Golf Barn GC3 simulator. I might do it in my home simulator here. I have both the RCT Pro VXs as well as the regular Pro V ones, so we can do a little test of that. But yeah, that's the video. That's kind of my conclusion. So thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Like always, if you're liking the content, please feel free to give me a like. If you want to subscribe to the channel, that'd be awesome. We're doing one video every month here, or sorry, one video every week on Mondays. So if you're interested in joining, we'd love to have you along for the ride. But yeah, it's slowly, ever so slowly creeping towards summer here in Minnesota. Not soon enough for me, but the axis of the earth is tilted towards the sun, so I think summer's got to come at some point. And when it does, we'll be having some content outside from the driving range, maybe from the golf course. But yeah, there's going to be a lot more golf content to come. Releasing a video every Monday. So, like I said, would love to have you along for the ride if you want to subscribe. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'd be happy to answer what I can. And yeah, just thank you guys so much for watching and for commenting. This has been really fun for me. So hopefully it's enjoyable and informative and interesting for you. Again, it's ballfitting.com. This is a result of Ping's sort of labor of love of testing and testing and retesting and testing again. They've got all these golf balls in their database. So they're using it to help us and make a little revenue on the side, I suppose. Um, but interesting stuff for me. I'm going to be testing out that Pro VX. Expect a video at some point here in the near future talking about that. But until then, we'll see you later. Hopefully, see you on the golf course soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.